really isn't about the API, but it's new, or it's just been released to everyone who's bought or pays for the GPT Plus. You go over here, if you do have GPT Plus, you can choose plugins, code interpreter. And then I wanted to show like a little project I have that does mention or show like code for calling the API. This is that website that I made. Mostly GPT-4 made it, to be honest. So what I wanted to show with the code interpreter is it's pretty much a replacement for Jupyter Notebooks. I don't know anyone here does like data work, spreadsheets, machine learning models, data cleaning. Pretty much code interpreter has replaced Jupyter Notebooks with a super intelligent AI, quote unquote. So what's cool about this, I've found myself going to Kaggle just for fun, real quick, on my phone to the laptop. I just go, and I'm doing this like right now. I'm going to download this data set, hopefully without problems. Never mind. No. All right, so I might have a data set on here to upload. I hope so. I do not. So I'm not prepared, as you can see. Let me try to sign in. Oh, that's my banned account. Let's see, am I in yet? There we go. So now I'm gonna go back to the data sets. I'm gonna get any one of them just to show how fast this is. So I'm gonna download this, put it here, go back to code interpreter. And then with the other ones, if you notice like default, that little plus sign goes away. So the code interpreter is new, having this upload a file option, which is nice. And then I go to that CSV that I got. Whoops, it's not what I wanted. Extract it first. All right, there we go. Can I drag and drop it? Let's see. No. Now I've uploaded it. And you don't have to say anything once you upload it, but and usually if you don't say anything, it'll tell you all the columns and names and summarize it like really quick. So I'm not going to say anything. It's got the circle, so it's uploading. It might be a decent sized data set. I'm just going to hit enter. And what I love about this is that once it starts writing the code, it hides it, but then you can watch it write the code, and it writes Python, uses pandas, matplotlib mostly. It's bringing up the data. It's working right in front of us. You know, I couldn't type that fast. It's already imported. Like I never have to import pandas again, it seems, as long as I use this. So it told us the columns. And I'm not even gonna read the column names. I'm just gonna be like, can you give me some graphs that you think would be helpful? I don't even know what this data set's about. I didn't even read it. So I show how easy this is. It's like so passively. I'm doing this on my phone, like on a car ride, you know. And before I would like learning this because I got into coding for data and machine learning and all that. It would be a struggle for me to go and start a whole project. Sometimes, you know, like running the errors in code in the code to try to get something to work, and it's just look all this code. I would have had to type all of that myself just to do this. I don't know what it's doing right now, but it's doing it. And right here at the end, it's got plt.show, so it's about to have an error, and it debugs itself. Oh, there it goes. So graphs, it's great. It's magic. Anyone could be a data analyst now, pretty much, data scientist. You still need to have the interest there, but it's really cool, and they'll probably like tell me things, histograms, prices, and be fun with it. I like use on my phone. I like using the voice to text. It's more natural when whatever I ask. But like one of the questions I liked asking when I first heard of GPT-3 is like, what questions would you ask next? So what questions would you ask next based on so you just go like that. It really keeps you going. If you ever get like stuck, I don't know, like your train of thought or your flow for the work, like kind of like hits a dead end. Like I feel like GPT-3 can really help you ease through that. And just keep the process going, keep you working, keep you interested. So like maybe like, oh, I've looked at this data set for 3 days now. I've thought of everything I could. So let me go to GPT-4 and get its insight or a way to move forward. And I just think that's so great. I looked at the name. It's about alcohol. I just now noticed that. But I've imported the data. It's ran all this code for the data. It's made these graphs on the fly. I think you even do like live graphs. Wouldn't have your hopes up with this one working the first time. Make a 3D. I don't know if this one's going to work, but I just think that's so cool. It's a code interpreter. So what if you don't want to code in Python? Well, it can't run. It only runs Python in this for now. It's mainly a Jupyter Notebook replacement so far, but it can give you other code. No matter what you're asking, it can teach you code. I've even defaulted to the code interpreter if I want to talk about not code things, because I've seen a paper saying that like AI, once it's trained on code, it's a bit smarter. It's trained on like the internet. So I keep that in mind. Now I was trying to code with this yesterday, and it does have it has like a bit of a personality change from default GPT-4, which is what I've been coding with. Because usually I would like give it all the code and all at once, and it would just get what I wanted to do. Yesterday, when I gave it all the code at once, it was like, well, you have all this code at once. It's not supposed to be here. Let me try to make it all in one file. I was like, no, I don't want that. I just want to like copy and paste the things as you give them to me. I had to explain that a little bit more with this one. It looks like it tried, but failed. So I have to install things, but you can't really install things, unfortunately, on this. So you can't, use some obscure library that's not popular probably. So that's one reason you would stick the Jupyter Notebook compared to this. But it can run optical character recognition right here in the Jupyter Notebook with installed libraries. That's pretty cool too. I don't have a picture to quickly do that, but I could ask, what else can you do? That's a bit of a rundown on the code interpreter, and then talking about like the API. I have a while ago. I work at Publix, and I wanted help finding things in the store. So I had GPT-4 give me this code or make code for me in like vanilla HTML and JavaScript. And so the most complicated part of this is this. What I like about this is that it's all basic code, but what matters the most is the prompt in the code. It's like the English language part of this. Like me going back and forth to make this app, I was just iterating on the prompt, what I was saying to the AI to get it to be more consistent. I think it's an interesting new change in like this tech world, kind of. It's more English language now than ever before. It just seems like it's gonna. I just typed out like aisle 1 has this, aisle 3, other sections. If they respond in some kind of way, do that. And that's this one. You give it a key. Where is the milk? And aisle 16. Now it's easy as that. Made a simple chatbot. I tried to make a chatbot yesterday, but I didn't make it as quickly as I made this one. I'm not, ran into some problems. Maybe it was code interpreter. I made this with GPT-4. But yeah, I just think that's so cool. And then like with new changes in the API, we just got 16,000 context length for GPT-3. So I could put way more information in this. And then also another thing is GPT-4's API just became generally available. So I knew a lot of people, because I'm on Twitter a lot of people hadn't even had access to GPT-4's API, but now everyone should, because they just released it, but also because they took away the web browsing capability because someone was able to like do something that they didn't want to do with it. So they took it away and it kind of gave us the gift of like code interpreter and letting people have the API. So I could like replace this. This is using GPT-3, not even 3.5. It's using the earlier version. But let's say I had like a lot more like words in here. It's like these words right here are pretty much your context length. And the more context length, the more information you could put in there. And then GPT-4 has a 32,000 context length. Now we have open source models that are they're in like the millions. So this stuff's moving fast. But we're talking about GPT-3 and GPT-4 here today. It's right now it's 32K for GPT-4, 16K for GPT-3, which I think is great. So what that really means to me is that because most projects are like in React, Nextjs, and it's not just one big file, it's a bunch of folders and files. And GPT-3 needs to see all that to get the context of what you're working on to help you more. So maybe as we move this context length number up, we can get more of that full production code in there to have more complicated, serious help instead of like, you know, these boilerplate snippets of code, so we can get more into like the gritty changes, I suppose. So that's on its way. And if the million context length models, the thing with these million context length models is that they're a bit smaller, I believe. I haven't really looked too much into them, but right now GPT-4 is like the smartest. And until I see when that comes along, it's a bit smarter, or at least I can run on my own hardware locally. So I'm waiting on that too. That's gonna be a whole new world, because Microsoft actually announced Copilot for the OS. So like I'm talking about having the context length to see your whole coding project. At some point down the line, we're going to have the AI is just going to see maybe everything on your computer in Microsoft. That seems to be their plan. They're already working on it. I'm on the wait list. So that's something to look forward to. So instead of just like helping you with coding, it helps you like every aspect of computing. A lot of this is on its way. It's moving fast. Yeah. Whereas what? Like in my website there? Now sometimes it'll say things. It has a mind of its own. Okay. So on this BRI. I don't know if that is correct. Is it? Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's a simple little app. I made it a while ago. Yeah, it worked out. I was huh? I can't hear. Oh, yeah. Publix carry spaceships. So it does humorous responses too, and I didn't put any of that in there. Oh, here we go. Yeah. That's probably like a problem with running a GPT-3 company. Yeah. Yeah, I did not. Yeah, I didn't even infer that. So there goes my job. Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah. So I have this where the user can't see that all this is in the mind of the AI in a way. So it's kind of in the background. What was your question? And so like this is the stuff. This is text to NC3, the older model. I have like 100 length is allowed to output. It's a bit in the middle of being predictable and being not predictable. This is a little snippet of code right here. This is a website, so that URL is open. I have it hosted on GitHub Pages because it's free. What is it? GPT-4 wrote 99.6% of this code, and I wrote like the pre-prompt, the prompt pretty much. I typed it all out, and that was the only part I iterated on my own with my own fingers. The rest of the code, there was one thing I had to go to the docs because GPT-3 is a bit outdated. I'll tell you, 2021. I did have to go to the docs to fix like the model name, and then it started working. That was like the only problem I had. And Microsoft's trying to deal with that too. Maybe that context length, then you just passively or casually or quickly without the user knowing, import all the new documentation for whatever programming language you're on, and then it can maybe be updated that way. Maybe so we won't ever have to have those problems again where you have to go to the docs. I think getting away from the docs, I'm just kidding about this, is the main goal, but of course not. Yeah. Because I had some problems. I tried to whip together another website like this yesterday, and I thought I'd be able to do it quick, but I ran into a few problems. And, I was not. Yeah. And then here's the playground, and it shows on the playground if you have I think GPT-4 APIs access. You can see the 16K here, it's new, and then there's GPT-4. And then these like parameters here are the same parameters you would mess with in the API with the code. It's just, they made a UI of all the stuff, stop sequences to make it more complicated, and all these other things. There's, this chat one's the newest one. They had this complete, this complete way of going about it, but they seem to be moving away from this. They like the chat way of going about it because, talk to it more easily, I suppose. But GPT 3.5 is very cheap, and then they got the 16K model recently, which I think is very helpful or very awesome. Yeah, and then over here, you're supposed to like the system is like you tell it what it's supposed to do, and that's kind of what this is, me telling it what it's supposed to do. I call it a pre-prompt. You call it a system prompt. I think where it's going to go to is like if you have your own app, GPT app, and say you wanted to personalize it to you, you can have a system prompt and be like, well, I'm Eric, I'm 29, I'm looking for a job in tech, I have this situation. I think the AI is going to especially if you give it, it's just going to know us like that. It's going to be able to help us even further, and that's kind of the idea. So and the idea would be to hide that information while you're talking to it. You just assume it knows that idea or knows those things about you, or even continually learns. That's how you would do that to personalize this more, which I had a few ideas. I was trying to work on a no app, but I didn't get too far into it because I'm learning Android. And I started learning Android development. I used GPT-4 to help explain things to me too, and that really sped me up. I've only put 5 solid days into this, but before GPT-4, those 5 solid days would end up probably being a month without it of my learning path. Yeah, it's great. I use I should use GPT-4 more, but sometimes I'll listen to a conversation on Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse and type the things as they're saying them, kind of add to the conversation. I like the idea of AI moderating almost a conversation, try to keep things more level-headed or down the middle, not too, but of course with the different personalities, you could get an AI that is not level-headed and everything. That's another thing I noticed. I know this is a bit of a tangent, but someone else was putting screenshots of an AI's opinion, but it was a whole another AI. So we're gonna have all these, you'd be this is the AI's opinion. Well, that's that model's opinion. So we'll have to do the nuances of that. I'm sure the massive online group thing is going to bypass those nuances. Yeah. So that's the code interpreter, this little app I made. That's how most of the complexity is this one script.js file that GPT-4 mostly wrote. I wrote the CSS to style it. So it styled all this for me. I went now I could put like, can you make this for like OLED screens or something? And it'll know, it'll make all those changes for you. Yeah, that's pretty much my talk. I just wanted to show those two things, that GPT-4 really can guide you through learning something. And then there's like Khan Academy has something called Conmingo, and it's supposed to do that too, but that's a whole other topic pretty much. But it uses GPT-4, and I think that's where we're going with this. Yeah. To say, yeah. So if I go back to here at the end, I put. So the question, what was the question again? It was like, yeah. And reading that first part, GPT-4 wrote that too. So I did have it help me with the pre-prompt. So I kind of like, I did do most of the typing, but I was like, could you redo this for me so it's nicer? But yeah, this is, huh? Maybe like 3%. Well, JavaScript's a bit of something I'm a little bit more new to. Could I go in here and mess something up and fix it myself? Probably not, but I could just copy and paste it to GPT-4. You know, it's a new world we're in. But yeah, no, I don't. Oh, there's a lot of room. Well, they have a website. It's called Tokenizer. So let's see. So that's 493 tokens. Yeah, plenty of room. And you think about like how many tokens is needed to put give it enough information about yourself to help you in your personal life, your endeavors, your goals, your hobbies, what you want to learn, scheduling, to-do lists. You know, I think it's all gonna kind of like a Jarvis, pretty much. I think we're almost there. Someone just has to make the UI, I think. Yeah, so this is a good web, just type in Tokenizer. And if you're doing stuff like this, keep this Tokenizer website in mind. And GPT-4 is supposed to have 32,000. So what can you do with 32,000? Hopefully the idea of keeping your whole code base in the context length and then asking questions about it. It's very like all over the place. Any style you really want. Like, I want to make a website that advertises or that sells watches with. And if I do like I'll do like vanilla HTML, CSS, or JS, but you ask for Nextjs, Kotlin. What is it? Oh, it makes. Oh, was it the material UI? The default GPT-4. I forgot to go to code interpreter. So my workflow is like keeping like two chat GPTs up, and I just give it the error. I give it errors. Yeah, feedback the errors. Ask it. A lot of the times I'll ask it, well, can you so in this project to push enter, I had to ask, can you make the enter button the shortcut key to push enter? So you have to like be specific about small things like that. Really let it know what you want it to do. Be like, well, I want this to be mainly for mobile phones. I want it to be, I want all the things, you know, bells and whistles. And it might not make it all there. You might have to like, well, you did this far, but now I need this bit touched up. So it looks like it made this right here. You just copy that code and you go paste it. You try it in your project. If it works, you move on. If it gives you an error, you could just read the error yourself, but you know, it's primitive. I'm just joking. Then give it to GPT-4, trying to move on with the project. Huh? Yeah. And yeah, gave some code there. So yeah, that's the workflow. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I think it's just September 2021. Yeah, but oh yeah. Yeah, there's just so many like open source ones coming out. I've lost track. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, this turns out. Yeah, yeah. This might not be the best answer, but if you go over here to settings, you go to data, turn chat history off, and you can trust it. It's not in their database if you want to. Other than that, you have to wait for the local models to run on your own machine. That's going to be very limited in its capabilities compared to models in the cloud. And that's always going to be the case probably forever, because whatever you can run locally, something I could run with a bunch of computers online, it's going to be better. Yeah. What is it? Oh yeah, but then you have like, you know, you have to get a bunch of computers you pay for and keep them running, and like it's a lot of computers. It's like you need 350 gigabytes of VRAM to run the first GPT-3 from 2020. Huh? I don't know. It's just the way. This is what we're using. This is what it uses. I don't really know the technicals and why it's using VRAM. Just to. Yeah. Well, there's like a GPU. I think it's like, I don't know, if you just need 350 gigabytes of VRAM. So whatever which way you can get a bunch of GPUs in a row. Go find a Bitcoin miner. I don't know. Take his GPUs and repurpose it. Yeah. I think people are up to that. There's a new thing for web browsing. It's called web browsing GPU. So that could make it easier for people to make websites. Because mining Bitcoin is kind of complicated to set up. So someone could set that up to do that, or set up a website that runs a machine learning model with your GPU without hassle. So web GPU is a newer thing that can help with that. I do believe I've seen on Twitter someone's working on that. I think what I've seen on Twitter was someone's working on, instead of you mining Bitcoin, your GPU would be more useful training machine learning models. And this kind of approach was taken with the protein folding too. People could donate their compute to help with protein folding. So now, yeah, the idea to donate your compute to help train ML models, I think it's gonna picking up steam. Yes. This code interpreter? They should be able to. It just has to like, write it out. What I do is I do copy the code over. I don't know. This is a nice code extension. You just put your API key in and it makes a little chat UI. And if you have GPT-4's API, you can use GPT-4 right there, integrated into your VS Code. That's if you want. I did use this a lot, but I just switched over to using GPT-4 with their UI. Yeah, see if it did this fractal thing. Oh, did not. Like the hotel, they want to know, all kinds of stuff. Is it possible to upload that to GPT? So what I think you're trying to ask is like, so I have this Publix website and it has that pre-prompt that the user doesn't see. You probably could interrogate it to try to give up its pre-prompt, which when you click on the terms of services of OpenAI, you agree not to try to do that, but that can be done. That is yeah, you can with this here, they you could do that with the code interpreter. But yeah, it is possible you can convince the AI to cough up some information. It's kind of Blade Runner-ish, just interrogate the AI until it, tells you what you want to know. It's funny that OpenAI went as far as to make you agree to terms of services to try not to do this, and they also ask you to try not to figure out what its training data was. And there's another thing where I think someone mentioned trying to build, I think it was, you building our own models. OpenAI doesn't want you to make synthetic data with GPT-4 to do that. Yes. So you can't be their competitors or, yeah. They don't even want you using GPT-4. They're even going as far to ask you not to use GPT-4 to make synthetic data for your own language model, which is what Google did with Bard. They did that. They used synthetic data to train it, to kind of catch it up. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't used Bard yet. Oh yeah, I haven't. Yeah. So my friends just had me join another Bard waitlist. I forgot what it was for. I'm on so many waitlists. I'm on like more than 10 of them, like maybe 7 of them for GitHub Copilot's side of things. I was waiting forever for Code Interpreter. You just got that literally like 5 days ago because everyone just got it and everyone just got the general access to the GPT-4's API, which is pretty powerful. I don't know if anyone remembers when AutoGPT was like hyped up, where it's where you loop GPT-4 on itself and you kind of like let it get into its own thought bubble and like run and execute things. I had to try to make a website and I ran it for an hour and it ran me $25. to get a bunch of like data and files and folders it downloaded, and I didn't even look at any of it. So maybe that's a good. My friend was like, "Well, what's the real use case for this?" I was like, "I think web scraping has worked out well for me on accident." So, you know, a lot of people are like trying to rule the world already by looping GPT 3 and 4. Yeah. I don't know. I've seen a tweet that a lot of it's just random tweets and Twitter, but someone mentioned that a lot of the like developers who've been doing this a long time, they don't really know how to talk to the AI. It seems easy to talk to the AI for me. I've been doing it since 2020. It seems intuitive to me to really just keep asking questions. And if the first one doesn't stick, you just keep asking it. You can run it over and over again. It's going to keep giving you something different. My simple answer is just the skill is going to be to talk to the AI. So, you know, you watch Iron Man, the way Iron Man talks to Jarvis, knowing what questions to ask, what to do next. Maybe we'll call it something different. Yeah, so I have to wrap it up. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's all going to be this parameter. So the more you're over here. Oh, what he asked is there a way to get it to be less random or more predictable? And that would be the temperature parameter. So this would make it completely nuts and random and like all over the place. Guess I could. I think, no, wait. A 0 makes it more predictable. And then, yeah. And then 2 makes it more stochastic. Yeah. So there is a way to get. Yeah. So, thank you, everyone. Do I keep this here? Yeah.
It's from people share on the chat. This one comes from Professor Piro. We're gonna share this. We share his slides, so we add this somewhere, but this one is, what does it say? Oh, if I can you do it? I can't read it, the message here. That's from Professor Piro. He's sharing these resources right here. And that is.
Hey everyone, I've been putting a document with different AI tools together for my own use. I was hoping you would find a use for it or easier to search between different AIs.
Yeah. So we'll share the document. We'll share the link to that. You know, for the people that are online, you already have this on the link, but for us here, we'll include it on one of you guys' slides and, yes, and everybody can have access. Can you go on your private messages? I sent you her slide. Yeah. There should be one from me. So I don't know. Oops. I think you just need to go up. That one. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
No.